Monday's schedule was light in the NHL with only one game between Montreal and Buffalo. We're going to review and recap that game and look ahead to today's Frozen Frenzy with all 32 teams in action. And that's coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, today we're reviewing the NHL game that took place yesterday. Just one game on a light schedule, but that was on purpose to get a really busy day set up for today. Frozen Frenzy is what they're calling it. All 32 teams are in action with staggered start times, which is going to be a phenomenal day for hockey fans across North America and around the world, really, because there's all kinds of action to take in. So first up, let's recap what happened yesterday. We had the Montreal Canadiens against the Buffalo Sabres. Goaltending duo was Jake Allen against Eric Comrie. Because at this point, Montreal had a little bit of a better start to the season than the Sabres. The Sabres really needed to pick up a victory here if they're going to be, making an effort to be a playoff team this year. And things just didn't go their way. Montreal picks up a 3-1 victory. Ultimately, though, the Sabres, their issues are mainly that they can't score. But goaltending has been suspect as well. Not overly bad in this game. Only gave up 3 goals, but still not a ton of shots by Montreal. So let's break this down a little bit more in depth. Montreal gets an early goal from defenseman Justin Barron 3 minutes into the game from Jackeye and Monahan. They get the early lead. The Sabres do respond about 4 minutes later, just over a 7-minute mark. Jeff Skinner scores on the power play from Dylan Cousins and Rasmus Dahlin. So we have a tie game halfway through the first period, and it stayed that way for quite a long stretch. The rest of the first period and second period had no goals. The second period was a fairly dominant period for attacking wise by the Sabres. They outshot Montreal 17-9, but could not capitalize and get one behind Jake Allen. The third period saw another early in the period goal, this time from Brendan Gallagher, assisted by David Savard and Tanner Pearson at 3:31, puts them up 2-1. And then that same line scores later on the power play. Tanner Pearson, who's been the net front bumper spot on that power play unit, is actually doing quite well. This could be a great pickup for Montreal to be able to turn Pearson into future assets. He's having a decent year so far. So Pearson scores a power play goal from Gallagher and Alex Newhook. This time it's 16:53. The Sabres make an attempt late to get the goalie out and try to get this game tied up. And to no avail. Montreal iced it numerous times as well. Lots of face-offs in the offensive zone. Timeout taken by the Sabres to try to get things in order, but they could just not cash in and really get that grade A chance past Jake Allen at all. So Buffalo, like I said, they really struggled in this game offensively speaking to bury their chances. They outshot Montreal 37-27. Jake Allen was pretty good, only gave up 1 goal and 37 shots. That's a great save percentage. Obviously, Eric Comrie, I don't know really how you want to chalk this up. It wasn't like horrific, but it wasn't awesome either. Gave up 3 goals on 27 shots, and for a team that's struggling to score, you're going to need your goalie at some point to kind of bail you out, and it just never happened. So at the end of the day, I don't think you can pin this loss on Comrie. A lot of nights you're going to need to score more than 3 goals to win a lot of NHL hockey games, and like I said, they haven't gotten it done. This team were even on the power play. Both teams scored a power play goal. Montreal did have an advantage, though, when it comes to face-offs. They won more face-offs, 53% to 47%. They blocked more shots than Buffalo, 17-10 advantage, including David Savard, who got injured. He had quite a shift there, blocking multiple shots. I believe he lost a skate blade. He is injured now and will miss some time. Montreal also out-hit Buffalo 27-20. So they just seem to have a higher effort level and almost more sacrifices and just more team mentality, whereas the Sabres just could not, for whatever reason, just keep up. They're not getting enough goal scoring at all. Tage Thompson, of course, has the big contract, had a big year last year. So far in 6 games, he's got 1 goal. You've got Victor Olofsson, who I know has been scratched a couple times. He's got no goals. Alex Tuch has no goals. Peyton Krebs has no goals. Mittelstadt only has 1. So that's only 2 goals between Mittelstadt, Krebs, Olofsson, Tuch, and Thompson. That's 5 players, 2 goals scored. JJ Peterka has 2. Dylan Cousins has a couple. They are missing Jack Quinn with the Achilles injury. He's going to be out for some time. I mean, I know he's a good player. I don't think that's an excuse, though, for this team to be off to such a poor start. They, of course, do play again tonight. They went with Comrie last night. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen goes tonight. Devin Levi played the first 4 games, was not really having a whole lot of success. Save percentage is way lower than it needs to be. I know they probably came into the year giving Levi every opportunity to be the starting goaltender, and it hasn't worked out. So there's certainly a lot of questions on, is he ready, or does he need to take a step back and go to the American League and just kind of work on things for a little bit before they give him another crack at being the starter? Because ultimately, I don't know that a tandem of Comrie and UPL is going to get it done enough consistently to get this team into the playoffs, even if the scoring picks up, which I'm sure at some point it will. Some of these players are pretty talented. I don't expect these droughts to last, too long. I'm sure they'll get that part figured out over due time, but even if they do, I have concerns now. Like I said, I had picked between Detroit, Buffalo, and Ottawa. I expected them all to be better this year. I thought Buffalo probably had the best chance to get into the playoffs, Ottawa with the next best chance, and I put Detroit third. And I had, in my predictions earlier, had Buffalo and Ottawa making the playoffs, Detroit on the outside, which you never know. It's a long season, but the way things are trending, that's not looking good that way. Right now, it looks like Detroit has the best chance out of the 3, with Ottawa in the middle again, but Buffalo a step behind, Ottawa, and a couple steps behind Detroit. So I don't know. Tonight, the Sabres play the Sens. It's going to be another measuring stick game. It's Craig Anderson's retirement night. Obviously, he was a longtime Sen, probably the greatest, most impactful goalie in Senators history. And obviously finished up the last couple of years with the Sabres and is well respected there and is going to work with them part-time as well. Now that he's retired, it's a mentoring type role. So certainly, makes good sense to do it on a night that they're playing each other. So this is going to be, for both teams, a measuring stick game. Ottawa lost to Detroit. If they lose to Buffalo, that's going to be 2 divisional games in a row teams are competing with to move up in the standings. That's not good. I'm sure Ottawa's going to come out with a fight, and Buffalo's now on a back-to-back after losing to Montreal, a game they probably feel like they should have won. So we'll see where that goes, but ultimately, not a great start for the Sabres. They're struggling with attendance as well. Numbers there haven't been great. The team still has a bright future, I think, but certainly more concerns popping up early for Buffalo than we expected. Montreal is certainly exceeding most people's expectations so far. Again, it's a long year. I still think they'll be near lower in the standings by the time it's all said and done. This is a big development year for Montreal. Some of these players, like Pearson, who are playing well, are not likely going to be sticking around once they find they play well enough to get some trades and then get some assets for down the road. So we'll see. As I mentioned, tonight is the second time in league history that we've got all 32 teams in action. ESPN is billing this as the Frozen Frenzy. All the games playing tonight, they're going to be staggered start times, which is phenomenal. For the most part, they're generally 15 minutes apart. There is a few times when there's some other gaps of a half an hour or a bit better. So it's not exactly 15 minutes all the way through. I'm going to kick things off with the Maple Leafs against the Washington Capitals. You have the Ducks against the Blue Jackets, which I was hoping to see Leo Carlsson against Fantilli, but right now they're saying Carlson's not in the lineup. I don't get that. I know Pat Verbeek is not planning to play Leo Carlsson on a regular, every night type of thing. They said they want to stagger his playing time throughout the first half of the year and ramp him up for the second, which I don't really understand the rationale there. It's not like it's an injury-related thing, so it's kind of an odd form of development and that we just haven't seen before. I guess time will tell if Verbeek's onto something or not, but I was hoping to see the number 2 and 3 picks go head-to-head tonight. Unfortunately, that doesn't look like it's going to happen. As I mentioned, we get Buffalo against Ottawa. The Canes are in to visit the Tampa Bay Lightning. That should be a fun matchup. The Devils are in to meet Montreal, so you get, obviously, the Jack Hughes against Cole Caulfield, former teammates with the U.S. program, great buddies off the ice. I'm sure that'll motivate both players to elevate their game tonight. Dallas is in Pittsburgh. That'll be another big test for Pittsburgh, who's been kind of hot and cold and struggling a little bit lately. The Sharks are in town to play the Florida Panthers. The Panthers have struggled out of the gate. Matthew Tkachuk is yet to score. San Jose's a weaker team in the league. Might be a game they should probably win. We'll see how they do. We got the Avalanche in town to visit the Islanders. That'll be a tough matchup for the Isles. Kraken, Seattle Kraken is in Detroit. That will be an interesting game because I think Detroit kind of modeled a little bit their rebuild here, or their moves in the offseason after Seattle. Seattle scored by committee. Like, look the way Yzerman's been grabbing free agents and scarving a bit of everything up there. To me, it kind of reminds me of, like, they're built similarly. And they're having, seasons this year. Both teams are surprising. Seattle's surprisingly bad, and Detroit's surprisingly good. So I'll be curious to see how this one works out. Boston's in town to visit Chicago. That's the second time they play this year. Let's see if they can remain undefeated. I imagine they'll have a good chance. The Hawks haven't been winning many games. The Oilers, without Connor McDavid, are in Minnesota to visit the Wild. I know the last number of few years they've struggled in Minnesota, and without McDavid, I'll be curious to see how they make out. Leon Draisaitl has to come up big tonight. The Canucks are in to visit the Nashville Predators. We got the Rangers against the Flames. The Flames, of course, we got spanked by the Red Wings there on the weekend. I'll be curious to see how they respond and play the Blue Shirts tonight. The Coyotes are in to visit the LA Kings, and the Philadelphia Flyers are in a Western swing visiting Vegas. So there'll be lots of games to review and recap tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. I'll be back later with another video looking at all the news and rumors for the entire day around the NHL. So thanks very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.